So this is from Finish Master. This is their brand of the 3M panel bonding adhesive. And I did start with 3M, and I bought 2 of them, and I went through both of them. I bought it on Amazon, and I ran out, and I was impatient. I didn't want to wait 2 days for Amazon, so I just went to Finish Master and got this, which they also sell the 3M, but it was more expensive, so I gave this a shot, and it seems to work just exactly the same. And then this was my primer that I used. This was what I got at Napa, and they will take your paint coat and match it exactly. So that's what I put on there. This is what I used. I want to say I did this first, like a thin coat, and then, well, a couple thin coats. And then I think this was my top coat. And this I put inside the wheel wells, like from the inside of the truck. I just sprayed it all in there. Okay, so this is from the inside. You can kind of see what I did. It's like from here to here, it's an arch about like that I panel bonded. And then all these screws, I screwed the new panel to this little lip here. And then I covered the inside with that, whatever that stuff is called, like the surfacing stuff. So on the outside, what I did was, so I bought the whole arch, and from my original body, I just cut the rust off and left as much of the original panel that was good. Then from I cut a matching piece of my replacement panel. I made like a template and everything, and I cut a matching piece and matched the seams here. Then I took a scrap from my replacement panel. I cut a scrap that was about maybe 2 inches and put it up underneath the existing panel, and I panel bonded it and clamped it. Then once that was cured and dried, I took my new panel piece that I had cut to match, put it on, and used a ton of tech screws, which you'll see. And because I couldn't clamp it anymore, there was nothing to clamp to because this is all enclosed. So I just used those tech screws as my attachments. Technically you don't need those, but I didn't have any way to keep it tight to my little strip. So I screwed them all in, and then I screwed and clamped up through here, and you can kind of see all of my screw marks. And then I came in with an angle grinder, and I ground off all the screws. And I think actually I like that because the screws, with the heat of the angle grinder, kind of like welded the material of the screw to the sheet metal. So that worked out good. And then came down here, and that panel ends like around here. So then I took the rocker piece and I put it in, and same thing, I screwed it with tech screws to the existing pinch weld, and panel bonded it with the adhesive, and then ground everything off and sanded it as best as I could. And then I sanded my bare metal, and I just lightly, and I cleaned everything really good with acetone. And then I used my kind of like Bondo material, a couple of thin coats of that, sand, and then I used the fiberglass on top, and then sand that until it's all smooth how you want it. And then I used a primer surfacer, sand prime, like a lot of times until it's super, super smooth. And then paint, sand, paint. And that's pretty much it. I will die on this hill. You do not have to weld your body panels. That's what panel adhesive is for. And Toyota agrees with me. It's not in addition to welding, it's in place of welding. And these panels, the Wolf Steel, are made to be welded. You certainly can do that if you have a welder and know how. I don't know how, and I didn't have a welder. So I did all the research. I read the freaking white papers. I read Toyota's specific OEM recommendations, which they have a couple hundred recommendations where you can use the 3M panel bonding adhesive on like 12 or 13 of their vehicles. A 1987 Toyota 4RUNNER is not listed as one, but I'm sure if they did testing on one of these vehicles, they would have also recommended it. It's not 1914. Henry Ford is not rolling these vehicles off his original assembly line. Times have changed. You don't need to do the same methods that Henry Ford only had available to him. In 2024, you can use panel bonding adhesive. And actually, Ford also has recommendations for structural panels that they have crash tested, they have impact tested, they have crumple tested, and they still say that you can use, in place of welding, you can use this panel bonding adhesive. And maybe it would have been easier if I knew how to weld and had a welder, because this wasn't a little bit of work, it was a lot of work. But I got so much shit from people saying like, oh, you're doing a bad job, you're ruining your vehicle and that's not gonna last. I don't do bad jobs. I only do the best jobs.